Hey guys, this is Leslie from Community Solutions. I just wanted to chime in about this case with Miss Tatiana Jefferson. This is a very sad case. This lady she was 28 years old, and she was a pre-med graduate. Went home to Texas to take care of a elderly parent, which showed me that she was a caring person, taking care of her nephew, playing video games. Seemed like a fun-loving type, responsible young lady who had a job with doing pharmaceutical sales, trying to save up for college, which is very noble, and being a doctor is very noble. And so I just wanted to touch base about the case and some things that I noticed about this case. So approximately 2:30 in the morning, the non-emergency police phone line, Miss Jefferson's neighbor called in because there were her doors were open, and they had noticed that they had been open since 10:30 that night. And so the Fort Worth police were dispatched to the residence to do a wellness check, or what some would call a welfare check, to check to make sure that everything was okay, being that there were elderly occupants in the residence, and they just wanted to make sure everything was okay, with it being so late and having the doors unlocked, not unlocked, but open. And so it appears that while doing this welfare check, the first thing that occurred to me, I was the EMT, and I've done about maybe, I'd say about over the course of the time as an EMT, maybe about 5 or 6 wellness checks. And they're very simple. First thing you do is you knock on the door and you announce yourself. You're coming in at night, late at night, you have your lights going, but not your sirens, so you don't alert the neighbors that are asleep, especially at 2:30 in the morning. But if there were somebody in the house, they could look out in their driveway and see that there's lights. Let me go to the door and see what's happening. We usually would knock on the door, and then occasionally, if there was no answer at the door, then we'd go to windows. And if it was really, it seemed like it was urgent, we'd have to break the window open if we couldn't get in. But that was only we never had to do that. There was always a door, a way to get in through the door. And so the first thing that I noticed about this case was that they didn't announce themselves. And then initially the neighbors said they noticed that they parked around the corner as opposed to just parking in the driveway. They didn't knock on the door. Knock, knock, Miss Jefferson, this is Fort Worth Police, or this is Fort Worth Ambulance. Just real simple. And they kind of went around to the back, and it was night, so it wasn't day, so it's kind of scary to look at the window and see a flashlight. You don't know, nobody's announced themselves and told you where they're from, what they're there for. And that was a mistake. When I saw he pulled the trigger, I didn't hear him announce that he was a police, but she apparently, from new reports, is saying that the nephew said she had the gun. Well, I don't blame her, because all she saw was a flashlight at her back window, and no announcement of police, no police lights or anything to show her that they were the police. And all I heard was freeze and, then pop, and it was like no warning, as far as letting her know that it's okay. We're not burglars. We're the police at your back window. And so, I wanted to just give, my channel is about solutions, and I wanted to give like a few solutions of how this could have been avoided. But in no way do I blame the neighbor. He was just trying to be a good neighbor and wanted to check and make sure that everybody was okay. But I think that neighbors now, particularly in the Black community, we need to start getting each other's phone numbers and also emergency contact numbers to make sure that if something goes wrong, we can, contact the neighbor, or if we haven't seen you in a while, we want to make sure you're okay, we can call you. And the next thing I would say is get the emergency contact family members that you want contacted in case of, and particularly with elderly people, in case something happens. The next thing I would say is I felt the one thing I've always felt is that I really wish that more Black men would join the police force, because I noticed that I've lived in Los Angeles for most of my life, and I was born in Louisiana, and I moved back to Louisiana. And there are more Black men on the police force in Louisiana, and I noticed that they respond to things more differently than people of other races like Latino or white, the way they respond to Black people. And so I think that there is a value in having people police communities where they live. This guy seemed as if he was going to the scene as like a tactical, like he was, running into a dope house or something. Like he was like parking around the corner incognito, and then just running around the back instead of just banging on the front door, which was open. Hello, police, Fort Worth police. Everybody okay in here? It was a simple call, very simple call. Wellness checks are the easiest thing that you can possibly do as a police officer. It might be a little elderly person that may be having a diabetic episode, or maybe they fell and you need to get the 911 ambulance or something like that. But these are the least dangerous calls that they could possibly get. And it's very unfortunate something as simple as announcing yourself ended in this tragedy. And so I believe that, I'll say that I believe that people should police communities that they live in, because they understand the neighbors, they know the neighbors. Oh, that's Atatiana's house. Let me go check on her. As opposed to somebody coming from another community that doesn't understand. They think that they have a perception of Black people that, we're all going to be criminals or something like that. And so this was a very sad case. It made me very sad. And actually, some people here I'm in Louisiana, and people actually know the family. They've set up a fund for her at Chase Bank. So if you're interested in, it's a legitimate fund for her family, her actual family. So if you're interested, you can donate to Chase Bank in her name. And I'm praying for her family and praying for our community that we get to know each other again and get to trust each other enough to look out for each other, because we're going to have to, in these last days and times. This is Community Solutions, family, and I want to tell you that I love you and that you take care of yourself out there.